What's good, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Remy. Excuse my presence, just got out the gym. We're gonna touch base today on how to clarify butter. I had a few individuals ask me how to clarify butter. There is various ways depending on the type of butter you're using, the type of method you're using. Today we're gonna do like a scoop and strain. Excuse me, I just got out the gym, just washed my hands just to get this started. And I'm gonna jump in the shower and come back and complete this task. So what you're doing when you clarify butter, first you wanna get however many amounts you want. As you can see, I'm kind of ODing right now. I'm gonna do 4 pounds, and it seems like this pot ain't big enough, so I'm gonna swap that out. But clarified butter is basically you taking the milk solids out of the butter for the butter to enhance flavors in certain foods, selective foods, depending on what you're making. Some people like to clarify butter for popcorn. I'm one of those people. So if you ever melt butter without clarifying and you pour it on popcorn, you see how super soggy it gets because the milk content, if you think about it, is actually water, right? So what we're going to do is a reverse version of an emulsion, right? So emulsion, you take two things that not supposed to be together, like a vinaigrette. That's why you always shake it up before you actually serve it. That's oil, and that's also vinegar, which is a type of watery base, and you shake it up. So that's immersion. So what we're going to do is a reverse. We're going to actually melt this down. And once we complete melting this down, we're going to take that liquid out of there. All right. One thing you always want to be careful with, this is not a process where it's instant. All right. If the milk solids burn, that burnt flavor or that burnt taste is actually going to go inside of your oil, and then your oil is corrupted with a nasty burnt taste. Yes, there are some items you can burn and it's worth it, such as onions. But we're not doing that today. So before we get into this, I'm gonna let this butter melt down. As I can see, kind of over big. So I'm glad I caught that before I jumped in the shower. I'm gonna swap the pot. I'm gonna go take a shower, get a little bit fresher than me just washing my hands. Nobody want their sweat dripping into somebody else's food. So I'm gonna go do that real quick. And when I come back, I'm gonna show you step by step how to separate the oil and the milk solids. And we'll go from there. One more thing before I jump in the shower. Let me give y'all a quick comparison on why it's good to clarify your butter. I have different types of butter up here that I have clarified and one I did not. Right here I have an Italian blend. This is basically oregano, rosemary, and basil. So this is my Italian blend. So if I want to do, let's say, tip of my tongue, shrimp scampi, and I want to have my noodles a certain way without them being kind of messed up with the milk and the separation of my sauce. This is actually a CBD. You know, I have a couple individuals who have pain or would like to enjoy food in a certain kind of way without actually getting high, but have a certain kind of feel. I actually made that. Now this is my THC butter that I make for those special occasions. Now this butter and this butter is actually the same. Now as you can see, milk actually spoils. So no matter how long I keep it in the refrigerator, same thing with any other butter, because of that milk solid, now this is contaminated and is no longer in good use. So for this to have longevity, you can go ahead and clarify the butter. So that's another reason. It actually have a real sour smell. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that, start another batch of my THC butter. But you can use this method for anything. So red pepper flakes and garlic. It's just the various combinations. That's how I can tell you. but it's always good to do that. My cookies, my cakes, they're a little bit richer. Now I did take fat out to put fat in, because I do add an extra egg for the richness. Now, if I'm on the grill and you ask me to make you a white omelet and add cheese, I'm gonna stare at you, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I get it. So that's just me. I don't got money like that for stuff to spoil. But one thing you do learn as you get into this cooking field, culinary field, scientific, maths, all that stuff, you learn how to make a profit. So one thing about a cook and a chef, it doesn't matter how much school you got, it doesn't really matter how much certifications you got. I always look at the difference between a cook and a chef is profit. You know what I'm saying? How to make more money out of what I got without wasting. And there's something I'm gonna touch on today, and we can talk about later, but there's something called AP and EP. So AP means actual portion. EP stands for edible portion, right? So let's do a quick little scenario. So let's say you got some carrots, right? Now look at this carrot based on you getting a carrot straight out the ground or farmer's market or even grocery store. If you grow your own, congratulations, you're better than me. I'm still learning my green thumb. But anyway, you take this carrot. Now look at this carrot and think about what you can and cannot eat on this carrot, right? So when you look at the carrot as is, as you holding it before you do anything, not even washing it yet, that is an actual portion, right? And that's what you normally pay for at a grocery store or even at vendors and ordering online in most cases, right? So even though you get 50 pounds of carrots, in all actuality, you're not going to eat 50 pounds of carrots. Why? Because once you rinse it off, if the skin is still not edible, you have to take the skin off, right? So once you take the skin off and cut the tips off, you kind of lost a little bit of your portions there. Same thing go for bell peppers, onions. Think about the stuff that you throw away. Instead of throwing it actually away, even though you can't eat it, you can take a mirepoix of unedible food, put it in some water, bring it to a boil, and you got vegetable stock for your rice or your meats and things like that. So that's the difference, in my opinion, between a chef and a cook. Most cooks is just going to do what they told and go about their life, which is nothing wrong with that if that's required. But if you somebody who's like, look, yeah, I spend X amount of dollars, I'm going to use everything to the best of my knowledge or the best of the ability of the product, that's the difference. So if I have celery, carrots, onions, mirepoix, right? Whatever I don't put in my actual portions or my food to serve because of presentations and the taste and the value of that customer or that person or that loved one or whoever you're making that food for, the stuff that I could throw away, before I throw it away, I'm exhausted. So I'm probably going to roast them, or I'm going to put them in some water, stew them down, strain it, and use that water for a soup, you know, anything like that. Try to get as much as possible. But anyway, just to give y'all a little bit of what we call quick education before I get back to this butter. And yes, I had to change it. As you can see, with a lot more butter than that last pot. It's still melting, but you can see it separating. As you can visualize, you have your butter and then you see the white, that would be your milk solids. You don't want to make this, so like I told you before, whatever you, well, like I said before, excuse me, don't make it too hot. We don't want to burn the milk solids and it goes to the bottom. That's going to be extra work to get it out, and also you're going to have that burnt taste in your butter. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to let that slowly melt, slowly separate, and then we're going to separate, we're going to finish the separation of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump in the shower. I'm really itchy. I was in the gym with other people and it's nasty. So I'm gonna get out the kitchen. I just wanted to start that. Also, wash your hands. I don't care if it's your house or anybody else's house. Anything far as consumables, you always want to wash your hands. And then anything with a finished product, at the end of the day, before you finish that product and serve it to anyone, I can't find my gloves. Yep, right there. Bam! Gloves. Wash your hands, put some gloves on. Safety. All right, nobody wants to buy food, no matter how good that shit tastes, and damn near die in a couple hours. That'll lose your business, your customers, and everything of that nature. All right, once again, let me get my dirty ass up out this goddamn kitchen. All right, hit you in a little bit. Ain't nobody dope as me. I'm just so fresh, so clean. Yes, sir. All right, so back to this butter. Dig this. So we have it slowly melting. As you can see, it's separating. And what you want to do is take a spoon and just take that off. Strain it as much as possible so you don't lose too much of your butter, right? And that's your milk solids that we don't want. Just put them over there. Strain it at the top a little bit, you know, keep some of that butter. Now there is different things I have witnessed. While I was in school, they had a double boiler with a sprout at the bottom, almost like a tea distribution kind of setup, or some type of spigot where it separates from the top. This is actually cool. We actually made a raft, and we'll talk about that in a later video, how to make a raft. But you can do it that way. There's various different things you can do to actually separate. But for us poor people, can't really afford it, or just don't do it that much, you can also do it this way. So as you scoop it, you see that little bit of butter, just push it along the side and strain it a little bit. So I'm gonna get this popping, but here's the herbs. So in this case, I'm actually using marijuana. So in this situation, this is not really a high grade. So there's some other things I'm gonna do to this to actually make it better. Like I said, I don't like to waste nothing. There's no mold, there's nothing. It just don't have a high THC. So I'm actually gonna put it in the oven at 225. You want to make sure you break it up real good, so that way it can kind of activate that THC. You're gonna actually put this in here for about 10 minutes. Get that popping. But anyway, good rule of thumb. I mean, I'm using marijuana, but you can also use Italian seasonings or bay leaves or anything of that nature. If you're using fresh, I advise you to go ahead and dry it out as much as possible. You can let it sit in the kitchen for a few days or dry out completely. Maybe throw it in the oven like I'm doing this. There's different ways. Here's a good ratio that you can go by. So for 2 cups of butter, which is a pound, you want anywhere between 1/4 to 1 ounce of product. So that goes for marijuana. That also goes for Italian seasonings. If you want to do a blend, especially I did like 3. So I took that and I divided by 3, so that way it'd be even. But if you would like to have more of something else, then you would do 2/3. Let's say basil and 1/6, thyme 1/6, oregano. So it just depends on your actual combination and what you want to do. It's one of those things you kind of got to play with and kind of like, trial and error. There's other recipe books you can go off of, but this is also one way to save you a little bit of money. Those milk solids, you don't need that. Go ahead and get rid of them. They're going to pretty much cause your butter to go bad, and you see how much time and effort you're putting into this, so it's going to last a lot longer. If you're one of those people who don't use it as often, the refrigerator is great. If you don't even use it as often, if that is even a damn thing I just made up, throw it in the freezer. There's times where I do a batch of cookies and I got a lot of dough left over. I use my batch of cookies. Might even keep a couple for myself or just to advertise, let everybody taste them, let me know if it's a good product. And then the rest of the dough, I throw it in the freezer. So just trying to help y'all out. Little culinary things here and there, you know, until we jump off. Excuse my appearance. I'm chilling at the house. But because of this long process, I felt the need to go ahead and throw it out there. As well, excuse me, another thing with this butter, I'm really hoping, because we slowly melt it. I also got a couple strainers. You really want a cheesecloth or some real fine mesh to catch anything that the spoon won't catch. My main concern is the actual bottom. So I'm hoping there's nothing there at the bottom, but you can see right there, it kind of bubbled up a little bit. So I'm gonna stir it. I'm gonna have to wait for it to resettle. So what I'm gonna do is get as much as this off the top, right? Without, you know, losing my butter. And the next step, I'm trying to speed this up. I know how it is when I watch YouTube videos. I have a mesh. I'm just pour it through here and let it do its thing. So before I actually do this one, I'm gonna go ahead and use this instead, and then I'm gonna go back and use the other one to make sure I got any impurities. Oh my God, any impurities out of that. So thank you for your time. As you can see, once this finish, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you a little bit of insight. Once this finish in the oven and it activates the THC in this, because I'm making cannabis butter today, but if I was making something different, I'm gonna take the butter once I finish with that, and I'm gonna throw it in here in the crock pot, and it's gonna become my steeping method. So if I had cheesecloth, then I would wrap all that up in cheesecloth, stick it in here, put the butter in there, and just let her go all for like the next 4 or 5 hours, and she's ready. I don't have cheesecloth, so what I'm gonna do is the same thing without the cheesecloth, and then I'm gonna have to strain it, so that way I don't have no leaves or nothing like that in my butter. You want your butter to be perfect as much as possible. Trust me, it's one of those things that you gotta constantly keep doing, and you get better at it. That's why I say make sure you melt the butter, melt it slowly, so that way it's not burning, you don't have that in it, all that good stuff. So I don't want to keep rambling, but if you have any questions and concerns, hit me up in the comments. If you haven't yet, like, share, and subscribe. I'm gonna do a little bit of cooking, different things with knife handling, different techniques of cooking, cutting, baking. Also, I'm a car person, audio person as well, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about that as well. So please stay tuned. Holla at your boy Remy. Oh, gaming channel that will be starting soon. Trying to get that going. So it's gonna be a little bit of everything. Remy gonna try to entertain you to the best of his ability. So please stay tuned. Enjoy the rest of your night and be safe. All right, so I just poured it. Basically was I took this pot, put the strainer in there, poured it in there, but be careful when you pour it, because you're gonna have this stuff at the bottom. All right, that's just another type of milk solid, but you can see there's still some butter in there. If you really want to do it, feel free, but as you can see, that is very difficult to get out of there. I'm actually going to try this and see if this works, but I got 13, 12, 10 seconds on that herbal essence, and then we're going to throw it in here, and we're going to allow that to do its thing for like the next 3 to 4 hours. So I had a little bit of milk solids I'm trying to get out, so I'll just pour that in there, strain it, move it around a little bit, get that popping. Like I said, you can do the same thing with that. It's going to be a lot of back and forth, so I'll probably end up doing that anyway. And like I got anything to do. My timer just went off, so it's about that time to grab that herbal essence out of there. So shake this up a little bit. Come on, a little faster if you can. Yeah. But you can clearly see the difference in the color. It's almost like a canola oil or olive oil. So the same method I would use for coconut oil or canola oil. I will put it in the crock pot, let it steep for about a good 3 hours to 4, and it works out pretty well for me. And that's another way to keep you from not burning your product. So got my rubber spatula, damn it, right here ready to go. And then I'm gonna grab this out of the oven. No cleaning supplies by the food. Jesus. All right. There we go. I know my neighbors are like, that boy stay chiefing. All right, we don't need the oven no more, so we're gonna go ahead and cut that off. My burner is still low because it just makes it a little bit easier because everything's hot. So like I said, I am gonna go through that and probably get a little extra out of there and go from there. So I'm gonna get off here and dump this in there, and y'all have a great day. Alrighty, so after straining it, this is what we got so far. Like I said, the product wasn't that great, so I'm gonna add some concentrate. So with concentrate, same thing, 225. And what you wanna do is cook it, not cook it, but you want it to decarb. So when the bubbles disappear, I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna whisk it into there and let it cool overnight. And that's it. So yeah, it's been about 20-25 minutes. We're gonna check it real quick. As you can see, it still has bubbles, so we're gonna let that shit rock for about another 10 minutes and see what happens. All right, let's see what we got. All right, we got a little bit more bubbles to go, but we're gonna get all those bubbles out. Alright, so we're gonna do like another 5 to 10 minutes, we'll check it. So like I said, it's gonna take concentrates probably like 20-30 minutes to get all that bubbles out. So we got our bubbles out. I'm gonna pour this into our butter mixture, and I'm gonna whisk it real good, and I'm gonna let this sit out overnight because it's still hot. You don't want to put nothing hot in our refrigerator to fuck it up. So 30-40 minutes. So about 30-40 minutes, everything will be good to go. And there you go. You got infused butter. You can use cannabis, different types of herbs, things of that nature. It is about 4 a.m., so it took a little longer than I expected, but we got it done. Yay.